Well, BookTube, I thought I'd make a video. I looked at my BookTube channel, and it's been 2 days since I made a video. So, yesterday was a Friday. I don't know what I did Friday. I'm looking at my March 2017 diary. Yesterday, what did I do yesterday? Well, let me see. My wife had a doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock yesterday, get some blood work. And when she got back, we went grocery shopping. And yeah, in the afternoons, I read all day yesterday. Light on the Mountain, Greek, Patristic, and Byzantine Homilies on the Transfiguration of our Lord, translated by Brian E. Daley. I read this yesterday. I just read it. Well, I wanted to get through the introduction, which took me a while, and then I read the first homily, which is by Origen, a commentary on Matthew 12:36-43. Which, let me see, get a Bible here. Matthew 12, I think that's the biblical account of the Transfiguration. Let me see here. It says, let's see here. Nope, that was wrong. Well, sometimes they have a different Origin, Matthew 12:36-43. Yeah, it's a different translation. He must. I see. He's using the Septuagint. It says here, Matthew 17. It says, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, led them up on a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. Then Peter said to Jesus, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If you wish, let us make here 3 tabernacles, or tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and suddenly a voice came out of the cloud saying, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were greatly afraid. But Jesus came and touched them and said, arise and do not be afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only. Now as they came down from the mountain, Jesus commanded them, saying, tell the vision to no one until the Son of Man is risen from the dead. So that's the Transfiguration narrative there in Matthew 17. So that's what Origen in his homily does an exegesis of. And I read a couple of them. So I read that yesterday. So that was my Friday reads. That's what I read Friday. So yeah, so as far as my diary, I ended today on page 251. So tomorrow, which is March the 19th, which will be a Sunday, I'll be on page 252. March the 19th, 2017. Today is this is March the 18th, 2017, is 4:55 here by Lake Michigan. It is a Saturday, I suppose you might say it's late afternoon, early evening. Today is a Saturday. For those who watch my video know that I volunteer at the Hendricks District Public Library used bookstore called the Book Nook. I did that today from 10 until 1, and I get a free book when I volunteer. My free book I got today for volunteering is LaRose, a novel by Louise Erdrich. This just won the National Circle Book Award. It says here, the North Dakota, late summer 1999, Lurick's iron stalks a deer along the edge of a property bordering his own. He shoots with easy confidence, but when the buck springs away, Lurick realizes he's hit something else, a blur he saw as he squeezed the trigger. When he staggers closer, he realizes he has killed his neighbor's 5-year-old son, Dusty Revich, the youngest child of his best friend, Pete Revich. Dusty was best friends with Lurick's 5-year-old son, LaRose. The two families have always been close, sharing food, clothing, and rides into town. Their children played together, despite going to different schools. And Lurick's wife, Emmeline, is half-sister to Dusty's mother, Nola. Horrified at what he has done, the recovered alcoholic turns to tradition, the sweat lodge, for guidance and finds a way forward. Following an ancient means of retribution, he and Emmeline will give LaRose to the grieving Peter and Nona. Our son will be your son now, they tell them. LaRose is quickly absorbed into his new family, plagued by thoughts of suicide. Nola dotes on him, keeping her darkness at bay. His fierce, rebellious new sister, Maggie, welcomes him as a co-conspirator who can ease her volatile mother's terrifying moods. Gradually, he's allowed shared visits with his birth family, whose sorrow mirrors the Reykjavik's. As the years pass, LaRose becomes the linchpin linking the Irons and the Richviches, and eventually their mutual pain begins to heal. But when a vengeful man with a long-standing grudge against Lurick's begins raising trouble, hurling accusations of a cover-up the day Dusty died, he threatens the tenuous peace that's kept the two fragile families together. So that was my free book. I have almost all of her novels, Louise Erdrich. I showed a while back my Louise Erdrich collection. I look forward to reading this someday. So that was my free book. I did buy a book. I bought this today at the Book Rook. This is The Tale of Genji by Muraski Shikibu. I cannot pronounce the Japanese name. It's translated by Royall Tyler. This is a very famous work written in the 11th century. This exquisite portrait of the court life in medieval Japan is widely celebrated as the world's first novel. I already had this. This is the Deluxe Penguin edition. I already had it in this slipcover edition that I found at a thrift store a couple years ago. But I wanted a paperback edition so it's quite easier to handle if I want to read it someday. So now I got 2 editions. It's kind of musty. You must smell it. It smells kind of bad. I should leave it out here for a while. So yeah, this was down by my Henry Miller collection right next to it, and anyway, so I got that as I bought this for $1.50. You can't go wrong. So yeah, as far as like I said, I read this Friday, Light on the Mountain. I'm still reading Frog. I did get another. I mentioned that I'm collecting all of Stephen Dixon's over the next year, 2017, and I got another one in the mail the other day. This is Stephen. Well, it's like I should show you the ones I've gotten already. I've gotten these Stephen Dixon novels. This is his novel I. And then I picked up the stories of Stephen Dixon. And then I picked up his novel, His Wife Leaves Him by Stephen Dixon. And like I said, I've been reading Frog, it's a big novel. It's like, it's 769 pages. It's a chunker. It's a chunker. And then I got this one in the mail yesterday. This is his novel, Meyer. I have a description of it here I got off the internet. In his 27th work of fiction, Guggenheim Fellow, National Book Award finalist, and Pushcart Prize winner, Dixon explores an affliction that neither he nor his protagonist would seem to know much about: writer's block. Meyer Osterrower is an aging, accomplished fiction writer living in Baltimore who one day finds himself at a loss for words. As he ruminates through his past, looking for material, the factual events of his existence morph into fiction. The novel is a set of themes and variations on major episodes of Meyer's life. Many of them imagined. There is his death, his wife's death, his sister's death, his mother and father's deaths, all in various incarnations, side by side with childhood memories, sexual fantasies. He catalogs a lifetime of injuries ranging from a stickball scar to a small white mark where his typewriter's line-spaced lever went into his upper eyelid. Worries in typical neurotic fashion about his arthritis in his heart, reflects on the dwindling number of letters in his mailbox. Although writing about writer's block risks relying on a tired conceit, Dixon not only pulls it off, but pulls together a series of quirky and powerful vignettes about aging. So that's what Meyer's is about. So the next one, I'm not sure what I'm going to buy next. I might get his novel. I don't know. He's written like countless. I don't know which one I'm going to get next. And when I was at the Book Nook today, I read some more of this biography by John Maynard Keynes, 1883 to 1946, Economist, Philosopher, Statesman by Robert Skidelsky. I've read 115 pages of this, so I'm really enjoying this. And what else I was going to show? I just lost everything. Oh, here it is. I also been reading The Best Minds of My Generation, The Literary History of the Beats by Allen Ginsberg. I've been kind of disappointed with this. It's okay, but tell you the truth, there are. I mean, it's like I said. I have an Allen Ginsberg collection, and that's why I bought it. But I've been kind of disappointed with it. I think it's kind of sloppy. Of course, I know that Bill Morgan had a hard time listening to, like I said, years of lecture tapes and then transcribing them, putting them on words, and then having to put it in some kind of narrative. So it is kind of choppy. And Ginsberg tends to exaggerate. He tends to interpret the beats through his kind of wacky Buddhist beatnik kind of philosophy. And it kind of taints it. I think he's kind of I think he just exaggerates. I think he's just full of bullshit. But I've been reading that. To talk about Allen Ginsberg, this is part of my beat collection I have here in my main study. This is Allen Ginsberg reciting his poem Wichita Vertex Sutra. And then I have this DVD. This is an elegy for Allen Ginsberg. This is about after his death. This is that. And then I have Allen Ginsberg reading Kerouac's book of poetry, Mexico City Blues. I also found this. I didn't know I had this. This is Christopher Asherwood, his novel Goodbye to Berlin, being read by Alan Cummings. I didn't know that. That was on top of this. This is a CD-ROM. It's like a huge DVD on the writings and the history and life of Jack Kerouac. So I just thought I'd show those as part of my beat collection I have here in my main study. As far as what I've been reading in this morning, I showed you that. I've been reading Light on the Mountain, Canonical Theology, and basically reading this book on the Heidelberg Catechism, this exposition, Christians' Only Comfort in Life and Death, and still reading the Spirit's Hermeneutics, reading Scripture in Light of Pentecost by Greg S. Keener. So that's what's going on in my book world. I want to make a video because I noticed I got some new subscribers and I haven't forgotten you guys. Just like yesterday, I just got kind of spaced out. I was kind of like, my wife is home and doing things with her, and then I don't sleep well at night when my wife is home, and we sleep together. My wife's a night nurse, so I sleep better when I sleep alone. And as I get older, I'm a light sleeper, and so I don't really sleep soundly. So anyway, I just thought I'd make a video, and today is Saturday, so tomorrow starts a new week. We go into the spring season. I do hope that you had a good weekend. Thank you for the new subscribers. Feel free to ask me questions. Tell me what you're reading, what's on your mind. What do you look forward to spring? Anything, just feel free to share. So until next time, bye.